theyeshiva.net.
Let's summarize the Shita of the Rambam in Le versus Al, articulated in Hilchas Brachas Perek Yud Aleph in a series of halachas, is apparently, as the Mefarshim point out, directly deduced from our sugya of Gemarah. The way the Rambam did it, in summation, is quite straightforward. The Gemarah quoted a machlokes between Rav Papi and Rav Papa. Rav Papi said Livayir, Rav Papa said Albiyur. The Gemarah said, everybody agrees Livayir connotes the future. Albiyur, however, created an argument. When he says Al, Rav Papa holds it connotes the future as well. Rav Papi says no. It connotes primarily the initial instinctive interpretation of Al is the past. Thus Rav Papi says Livayir, Rav Papa says Albiyur, because Al, according to Rav Papa, connotes the future as well. It doesn't primarily and instinctively conjure the image of it has been done already. And then the Gemarah brings the three questions challenge Rav Papi, who believes in Livayir. Question number one was from Mila. A Moil says Al HaMila, before the circumcision. Obviously, Al does not mean the past, because you're doing the bris now. The Gemarah gave a very interesting answer. He can't say Lamed Lamul, because he's not obligated to do the bris. The father is obligated. He's a shliach of the father. So he's not commanded to do the bris. There's a father alive, and therefore the commandment is primarily on the father. Not on him, he's a shliach of the father. So he says Al HaMila. Question number two was Shchita. The Shochet says Al HaShchita. And here the Gemarah answers similarly. As a Shochet, I'm not obligated to do the Shchita. You could have also done the Shchita. There's no obligation on every individual Jew do Shchita. Like there is an obligation to put on tefillin or to hear shofar. Many of us are not sheikhtim, because there's no mitzvah to be a sheikhet. You could also be the sheikh, just like by Mila. By shchit, it's even deeper. That what? Nobody is obligated to be a sheikhet. It's not like Mila, the father got to do it, not me. I'm the moil, I'm not the father. Here, nobody got to do it. If you want to eat meat, you got to shecht. You don't want to eat meat, you don't have to shecht. So that's why you can't say lishchait, you say al hashchita. And in both cases, the Gemarah says, what if the father himself would do it? He would say Lamul. What if I'm shechting my carbon Pesach? I am obligated to shecht my carbon Pesach. Then I should say Lishchait. But if I'm shechting for you, or even if I'm shechting for myself, but I'm not obligated, I'm shechting a chicken, because I want chicken, then I say Al Hashchita. Third question was Lulav. Al Natilas Lulav. According to Rav Papi, you should say Litoy Lulav. The Gemarah says, no. Precisely. Al Natilas Lulav is actually a proof for him. Why? Because when you picked up the Lulav, you already did the mitzvah. And Al means the past. Al connotes the past, so you say Al. And then the Gemarah says, Hilchasa Al B'yer Chametz. And here was the Rambam's unique chiddush in this Gemarah, that the halacha Al B'yer Chametz did not, like everybody else says, go away from Rav Papi and agree with Rav Papa. No. Rambam holds that this is actually consistent with Rav Papi, even though the halacha is Al Biyur, and Rav Papi said Livayir, but the logic of it is consistent with Rav Papi. In other words, the Rambam embraces the sugya. The Rambam doesn't believe that the sugya at this point diverted, right, and moved away from Rav Papi and said, forget Rav Papi, we're going with Rav Papa. Why? Because the Rambam's chiddush is that Biyur Chametz is a bracha for something that happened already. Why? Because the moment I'm about to do bdika, Gamar beliboy levatel. In my heart, I want to get rid of this chametz. I'm not interested in this chametz. That is mitzvahs biyur min haTorah. So when I say the bracha, it's al biyur chametz. Thanking Hashem for the opportunity of destroying the chametz. Not the opportunity to destroy, the opportunity of destroying the chametz, which I already did. Not physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Fascinating vart. The Rambam's a chiddush. If so, The Rambam says you're right. Lamed means the future. Al means the past. Bir chametz happened. So you say al, just like Natilas Lulav, just like Lulav. And therefore he embraces the whole sugya. Because he says that halacha is like Rav Papi. And that's why the Rambam says if you circumcise your own son, you say lamel. And if you shecht your own carbon Pesach, you say lishchait. Because it's an obligation on you and it's happening in the future. And thus the Rambam, from this Gemarah, it seems, formulated 3 conditions to be able to say li and not al. Condition number 1, it has to be something that is an obligation unequivocally. It's not a obligation that is based on a voluntary foundation. Condition number 2, it's an obligation, but that's not enough. It's my obligation, and I'm doing it. Condition number 3, I have to say the bracha before the mitzvah. If any of these are missing, you got to go from lamed to al, from li to al. And according to him, this was the rhythm, this was, what do they call today? The algorithm. This was the algorithm that defines Birchas HaMitzvahs. And what are the practical manifestations of this? You know what an algorithm is, yeah? You're in computer, an algorithm. This is it. Because the Rishonim are struggling to find the rules, what are the algorithms for Le'anal. So what does this mean practically? If I'm going to wash my hands on Natilas Yadayim, or I'm going to shech the chicken, I'll say al Natilas Yadayim, al hashchita, covering blood after the shchita, al kisidam. According to the Rambam, why? Because it's reshus. I don't have to do it. There was a way to avoid it. God does not dictate that I have to eat bread and wash my hands. There was a way to avoid it. In other words, the obligation comes after a premise and a foundation which is voluntary. So it's not vitzivanu litol yadayim. It's vitzivanu al netilas yadayim. Number 2, it may be an obligation, but not on me. For example, I'm a moil. I'm circumcising your child. I'll say al hamila. If I'm the father, I'll say limoil. Not al hamila. Condition number 3, the bracha has to be before. If the bracha is after, for example, Natilas lulav, bir chametz, I picked up the lulav, already did the mitzvah, even though it's my obligation, I'm doing it myself, and it's on me, and it's not reshus, I still say al. 3 conditions the Rambam gave us.
It's on you. You have 4.
So let's summarize this fast. 1 moment. Let's go through what things. The Kesef Mishnah mentions a few in Hilchos Brachos, and a few we have to figure out. Lahaniach tefillin makes sense. I'm putting on tefillin. The bracha is before the mitzvah. I put the tefillin on my arm. I didn't tie it yet, right? I just have it. I'm holding it in my hand. I didn't do the mitzvah yet. It's an obligation. It's not voluntary. I can't say, oh, you have to put on tefillin because you want to get out of bed. No, even if you stay in bed, you have to put on tefillin. Even on Martin Luther King's Day, you have to put on tefillin. It's not. It's an obligation. It's not like Natilas Yadayim. Don't eat bread. You won't wash. Who told you to eat carbs? The doctor says you shouldn't eat carbs anyway. You can't say that by tefillin. It's an obligation. It's an obligation on me. I can't put on tefillin for you. There's no shlichus in tefillin. I could ask you to do other things for me. I can't ask you to put on tefillin for me. It's called a mitzvah shebegufa. So I have to do it. It's me doing it. It's a mitzvah. After the bracha, I say lahaniach. Tefillin shel roish. According to the Rambam, you don't make a second bracha. But if you spoke in middle, you say al mitzvahs tefillin. You change to al. But now we understand the Kesef Mishnah says why? Because part of the mitzvah was done already. Because the tefillin shel yad you put on already. So you say al mitzvahs tefillin.
Right. You also say it after you put it
on. Huh?
You're saying it after. You
put it on the head before you tighten it on the head. Yeah, so you say it before the shorosh, but already after shel yad. So he says al mitzvahs. And you might add that it's not just Shal Rosh is a separate mitzvah completely. There's two mitzvahs in Shal Rosh. One is to put it on your head, and one is to put it on your head after it's on your hand. Because it says, V'hoyu l'taytafos. So when I put on the tfal yad, I'm also doing part of the Shal Rosh mitzvah. So that part of the mitzvah was done already. So I say, al mitzvahs. It's very geschmack. You understand? Lihis atev batzitzis makes perfect sense. I'm a chuyev to put on. I have dalet kanfas. I'm a chuyev to put on a talis. So now I say li. I'm doing it before, and it's on me, and it's there's no shlichus there too. You're saying don't buy a talis, don't buy dalet kanfas, and you don't have to wear it. In other words, at least the Chazal, right, wanted you should wear a talis. You understand?
So there's a special chiyuv just to have.
The Gemarah says, Kol ha-koyre krishma, beli talis or beli tefillin. So it's a mitzvah to have a talis. So we say le. But tzitzis take. You say al mitzvah tzitzis. And you can answer, according to this, because it's rishus. No, but who don't buy? Itaka says midas chasidus to buy 4 garments and have tzitzis. So it's like shchita. I want to shechta. I want to eat the chicken.
Tzitzis is only maybe because it's not a special chiyuv.
No. Another point with tzitzis is, very good question, most people make the bracha after they're wearing it already. Right? Because it's another reason for al. Another reason for al. Besides it's voluntary, you have the tzitzis, and then you make the bracha because you want to wash your hands, you want to say brachas, right? So therefore it's al. It works perfectly. Sfira sa'omer, al, because if Mishnah says, because we're counting to the omer. The carbon omer happened. You understand? It's a mitzvah that's continuing a mitzvah that happened, even though there's a mitzvah to count tonight, but it's part of the omer that happened already. Very powerful, beautiful word. Lishmaya kol shofar makes sense. Even though I'm blowing for the whole olam, but I'm also blowing for me. It's a mitzvah on me. And I'm doing it for me, not only for you. So it's lit, and I'm about to do it. I make the bracha before I blow shofar, not after I blow shofar. Lishmaya kol shofar. Al divrei soira. Al divrei soira. I should say some Sidurim have lasoik b'divrei soira. Right? That's what you say. Lasoik b'divrei soira. But the Rambam's nusach is, also the Arizal's nusach, al divrei soira. Why al? You're about to learn. What does the Kesef Mishnah say? Because the obligation to learn Torah is Yoimam V'Layla. If you would say le, it could sound like the obligation now to learn. An hour ago, there was also an obligation to learn. I may not be able to because I had to sleep, I had to go to work, whatever it is. I had to do something. But that's why you say al divrei soira. Also, fascinating explanation. So how the algorithm actually works. Chanukah, lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Beautiful. I'm about to light a candle. I'm doing it. I'm obligated to light a Chanukah candle. It's not voluntary to light a Chanukah candle. Chanukah, you have to light a candle with Rabbanan. It's not right, remember? Lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. I'm lighting a Shabbos candle. Lahadlik ner shel Shabbos kodesh or Yom Tif or Yom HaZikaron. Even though some people over there make the bracha after, because they're afraid that if you don't have kavanah not to be Makabel Shabbos, once you make the bracha before, you won't be able to light. They just cover their eyes before the bracha. Okay. That's what the Ramah says in Shulchan Aruch, right? This eitzah, which is what women do. So you see, this is a lahadlik. So this is the algorithm of the Rambam. The Kesef Mishnah remains with a question. Megillah, al mikra Megillah, al achilas matzah, al achilas marer. I'm eating matzah, why don't I say lechel matzah? Because the Mishnah remains with a question. Megillah, matzah, marer, and also if you're eating the carbon pesach, al achilas ha-pesach. That's what it remains. That was the question that the Kesef Mishnah remains with in Hilchos Brachos. Mikra Megillah, achilas matzah, marer, psar ha-pesach. No, the Tosfos says, you're asking after you shake a lulav why you're making a bracha. The answer is because you didn't finish the mitzvah yet. Because there's a mitzvah to do na'anuyim and halal. So since you didn't finish the mitzvah, you could say the bracha after you pick up the lulav, even though you fulfilled the mitzvah. Although today, as I told you, we do another solution, and that is, we pick up the lulav in a way that you're not doing the mitzvah yet. Right? Because if you pick up the esrog upside down, or you don't pick up the esrog, or you have kavanah not to do the mitzvah, you didn't do the mitzvah. But since if you pick it up stam, you do the mitzvah, so they made al netilas lulav. And then you could say, once they made al netilas lulav, they're not going to differentiate how you do it. They kept the bracha. They're not going to say, for you liter lulav, for you al netilas lulav. Although the Rambam does say, the Rambam says, if you pick up the lulav after the bracha, you say liter lulav. The Rambam doesn't get nispal. He's consistent. If it's before the mitzvah, you say li. After the mitzvah, you say al. If it's an obligation.
What about Pesachim?
Pas shachris? No. You have things that are traditions, that are good things, but this ashekidishanu b'mitzvos of itzivonu is a special category. He sanctified us with these mitzvahs. Or in Tanya he says kiddushanu comes the word kiddushin. Kiddishanu. He married us through these mitzvahs. You understand? It's part of the marriage. Kiddushanu miloshin kiddushin. Now, one thing you learn from all of this is that a bracha has meaning. You told that to me, right? That's one thing. You say a bracha, it's not gehakt. Le'al, it has meaning. And if from this whole sugya, next time you say a bracha, you could stop for a moment and think what you're saying. Shine ois getalt, salt the hot sauce. Shine kedai. But you see, it's not stam. Lehadlik, al achilas. There's two nuschayos. Some say lasik b'divrei soira, which makes sense. That's not a question. You woke up in the morning, you're making a bracha. The shittas haramam is al divrei Torah. So the Kesef Mishnah, the Beis Yosef says, because Torah is a constant obligation. It's a beautiful word. You can't say, Hashem to learn. What do you mean? Now? He told you to learn. He told you to learn also 2 hours ago.
I want to fulfill it now.
Fine. No, all the other mitzvahs, laniach tefillin. I didn't have a mitzvah of tefillin in the middle of the night. There's no mitzvah of tefillin in the middle of the night. I didn't have a mitzvah of talis in the middle of the night. I didn't have a mitzvah to light Chanukah candles in the middle of the day. Now is a mitzvah. He commanded me to be madlik. He commanded, I'm going to fulfill it, but the tzivonu is not for now. Leisha b'sukkah is perfect.
Well, you're already in the sukkah.
No, you nichnas. You go into the sukkah, you want to eat. If you walk into a sukkah, you don't make a bracha. You're going to eat.
After you. Oh, you say before.
Before you eat, you say Leisha b'sukkah, you're right. You make kiddush, bar priyagaf, and Leisha b'sukkah. Or you make mezainis, Leisha b'sukkah, hamaitzi, whatever it is. If you leave the sukkah, you come back for lunch, for dinner, you can make a new bracha. It's very good. The lamed is perfect. It's me. I can't make a shliach. I can't say, I got to eat breakfast. You go to the sukkah. I'll eat breakfast at home. I have to do it. I'm doing it for me. It's my chiyuv, right? And I'm doing it before I eat. So it's a lamed. You're not going to find too many contradictions. You could try. You're not going to find too many contradictions. The Kesef Mishnah found. You're not going to find so many. You're not going to find so many. That's a good question. Ich weiß. The Moil was holding his hand. What would the Rabbi say about the bracha? It's interesting, yeah. Interesting. And mezuzah is also very geschmack. Likvaya mezuzah. Very good, right? I'm putting on my mezuzah on my house. Before I put it on, I make a bracha, lamed. It's an obligation. I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for you in your house. Then the Rabbi would hold al kviyas mezuzah. For my house, I say likvaya mezuzah. I build a fence on my house, lasas maka on my roof. I separate truma, lahafrish truma. Let's do halal. You say Pesach halal. What do we say? Likrayas halal. Not al kriyas halal. Or according to the Rambam, ligmayas halal. Why? I have an obligation to say halal. I make the bracha before halal. Right? Nobody's doing it for me. I'm saying halal myself. Can I make a shliach to say halal for you? Hey, you say halal for me. So therefore I say lamed.
We have all year round. We just do them in the time. So maybe that's why we say.
But then you can argue, but matzah is not. It's hard. The Rambam even holds you have to say lehafresh challah if I'm separating from myself. If I'm separating your truma, if you say, here, do me a favor, go, I have truma, go, then I'll say, ala frashas truma. Or if I'm building a fence on your roof, ala siyas maka. The Rambam is very, very consistent with these things. There's another question on the Rambam, Pidyon Haben. What should have been the bracha according to the algorithm on Pidyon Haben? Liv dois haben. I'm the daddy. I'm making the bracha before. It's a chiyuv. I can't get out of it. It should be li. Huh? How do you have a choice?
You can't give you a choice.
You're saying the kohen says, give it up to the kohen. That's cute. That's cute. You don't want to redeem, don't redeem. Is it really a choice? Torah says, Kol b'chor b'necha tivd. I don't know that if it's a choice. It's funny how the kohen says, do you want the son or do you want the money? I once said at a Pidyon Haben, what type of question is this? A normal father? It's insulting. Thank God it's Aramaic. Nobody knows what hit them. If it would be in English, imagine a ceremony in America. Right? The holy person gets up. You have a choice. You want your son or you want your 40 miserable dollars? What type of son? The question is insulting. Even $1 million would be insulting. You want your child? So I said, I'll tell you pshat. It's not a question for now. It's a question 10 years from now. You're going to be involved in business. Your wife is going to say, your son needs you. Say, no, I got to make money. So the kohen is saying, you got to make a choice. The will's the geld, or the will's the kind. You want to be a father, you want money. It's going to be a choice. Not right now. A good word? Powerful word, huh? Rabbi Yaakov, you hear? It's a question for the future. And that's the problem. You don't remember.
Doesn't beg the question, that's always something that's happening.
Right, of course. I'm saying Al Pi Drash. So I saw the Shut HaRivosh, one of the Rishonim of the Rivosh, says that the reason is because he says it's not only a mitzvah on me, it's together with the kohen. Because it's together with the kohen, so therefore I can't even do it myself. He commanded me to redeem the child. Well, what am I supposed to do? I want to redeem my child. I need you. So because it already includes somebody else, so you say al mitzvahs pidyon haben. That's the Rivosh's answer. The Meiri answers al mikra Megillah. He says a very interesting thing. The first Mishnah Megillah says that people who lived in villages, they couldn't have the Megillah laying the Purim, so they could read it Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, Yud Dalet. And somebody had to read it for them, because you have to have an expert. He would read it for them. He would make the bracha. When he's making that bracha, he's not Yotzei Megillah, because he's going back home and he's going to read it Yud Dalet. So what bracha does he have to say? He can't say Likra Megillah, I'm doing it for you. Regularly, a Balkoyer in Shul is doing it for me, but he's also doing it for himself. But these guys couldn't do it for themselves because in your house, you live in a city. You should read the Megillah Yud Dalet. I'm doing it for you. So I say al. The Meiri continues weiter. The Gemarah says that when Purim is on Shabbos, you don't read the Megillah. We don't have it in our calendar, but in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, and even after the Beis Hamikdash, Purim could be on Shabbos. You don't read the Megillah. Why? The same reason you don't blow shofar. You don't shake lulav. So the Gemarah says Hakol. Some Gemarah Megillah and Rosh Hashanah and Sukkah, 3 places. Hakol chayavim b'tkiyas shofar and Hakol p'kiyah b'tkiyas shofar. Hakol chayavim b'kriyas Megillah and Hakol p'kiyah b'kriyas Megillah. In other words, many Jews did not know how to read the Megillah, as it is today. Most Jews can't read the Megillah, and that's why the Balkoyer usually does it more than once. And all these times he can't say Likra Megillah. He says Al Mikra. So because this was part of the institution of Megillah, so therefore, by shofar you don't have this, because shofar, you don't start doing shofar 3 days before the Shoshana and you go. Everybody comes to Shul usually, right? And you make a bracha. There may be a person that I'm going to have to blow for later. Yeah. The Lubavitchers go to all the hospitals and all of this, so they have to blow, and if the person doesn't make a bracha. But essentially, it's done in Shul. Yid comes Shul Rosh Hashanah, even though it can happen later also. But Megillah, part of the process was, the Meiri says that you had to lay in a few days before, so therefore there was already Al Mikra Megillah, and then they didn't distinguish. They didn't distinguish. The Rambam should say, if you're laying the Megillah for yourself, you should say Lik, because he says by everything else. So I saw the Migdal Ois on the Rambam says, because the main takana of Megillah was for the tzibur, to do it with tzibur, not to do it privately. You could be yotze privately, but the takana was persumei nissa, to publicize the miracle. So even when you're doing it, when you're being yotze, he says they wanted to emphasize that it's not only an individual thing. It's Beroivam Adris Melech. It's for the whole oilam. Other people are also being yotze. Whereby shofar, that's not negeya. Shofar is not persumei nissa. Shofar is the here shofar. Here, part of the Megillah was the collective component. So the Migdal Ois and the Rambam says that's why by Megillah they put in the word al, not lit. Even though it's taka for me. So it, according to the algorithm, it's like an exception to the algorithm to Chanukah licht is persumei nissa, but it's in your house. It's in the bayis. It's not in shul. They should see, but the mitzvah is being done for me and bnei baisai. For Kate, you don't come to shul to light Chanukah candles, right? It's issue baisai. It's a private event. It's a private event for the public. So therefore, over there, you don't want to emphasize. There's no. It's not, I'm not doing it. You're not being yotze the city in Chanukah. Mikra Megillah, we go to shul. One person is yotze, even though he's also yotze himself. But you still say al, even when. And then once that happens, so then even if you do it privately in your house, you still say al. And Ner Shabbos too is lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbos, even though people can see the light. It's not like Chanukah, huh? No, lahadlik Ner Shel Chanukah. By Megillah we say al. The Migdal Ois says that this is the answer also by Pesach. Al achilas ha-Pesach. Why? He says that you had to eat the Pesach, eina Pesach nechal, ela b'chabura. You had to eat it with chabura, with a group. So even though I'm making the bracha, and I'm eating it, and you're eating it, we don't make, it's a chiyuv on me, and I'm not making a shliach, and I'm doing it before, but to emphasize the concept that it's a collective experience, they put an al, not li, to say it's not just me. I should try to say li. It's al. I'm emphasizing everybody's part of it. That's Pesach. The mitzvah is to eat matzah and maror with the carbon Pesach, which is also b'chabura. That was the official mitzvah. So mele everything got al achilas Pesach, al achilas maror, al achilas matzah. I had a problem with it because shechting the carbon Pesach is also b'chabur. It says kol kaladas. And over there the Rambam says to say lishchot. So for shechting lishchot and for eating al, it's a little strange because shchita you also don't do yourself. It says v'shachtu oiseh kol kaladas Yisro. But the problem may be because it's not ma'akiv. In other words, if you're the only one, you can still shecht. But Pesach, you have to eat. You have to eat b'chabura. But it's an interesting. The Or Sameach says one second. The Or Sameach says, Mer Simcha Koyin says in Hilchos Brachos, another interesting svara. He says the reason you say al achilas haPesach is because the mitzvah was done already, part of the mitzvah. Because you can't eat it without shechting it, and you already shechted it. So it's a continuation to the mitzvah that was done. So when you say al achilas haPesach, it's like al sfiras ha'omer. It's the Pesach that was already done, erev Pesach. So therefore you don't say li. It's not a mitzvah to eat, because even though it's a mitzvah to eat now, but it's already a continuation of a previous mitzvah. And the matzah and the maror, again, are part of the carbon Pesach. I also had a little challenge with that because, L'Paul, you make a separate bracha. There's the bracha lishchet ha-Pesach, and there's the bracha al achilas Pesach. In fact, it's two separate mitzvahs. There's a mitzvah of shchit, there's a mitzvah of achila. So maybe you can compare it to Sfiras Ha'omer. No, but tefillin, you're right, tefillin is a new mitzvah, but as I told you, part of the shaliyad is a din in shal rosh, because it says v'hoyu, kol zman shebein einecha yiyu shtayim. But here it's l'chayra, but I guess you're saying you can't shecht without eat. So part of the mitzvah of shechting is, it says ha-pesach le'bo mitchilose ela la'achila, that the tachlis of the shchit, even though it's a mitzvah, and you make a bracha, is for al-achila. Maybe that's the Or Sameach svara. But these are all svaras that are needed to be, because how do you figure out? Okay. Now let's see a gewaldige chiddush from the Avnei Nezer. The Avnei Nezer was the son-in-law of the Kotzker Rebbe. He was the Rav of Sochachov. Sochachov is a city in Poland. His name was Rabbi Avram Bornstein. He was a Talmud and a son-in-law of the Kotzker Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Morgenstern. He's considered one of the Gaonim of Poland. And Shalsa Chuvas Avnei Nezer, I saw, he has a moidedik vort on Al Achilas Matzah and Al Achilas Mar. You have to call this an original. This is a real original vort from the Avnei Nezer with tremendous implications in halacha that he gives. I've never seen his chiddush being practiced l'mais. I'll soon tell you what his chiddush is, but it's certainly worth pondering and reflecting about and learning. And the chiddush of the Avnei Nezer, in order to appreciate it, it's in Shalsa Chuvas Avnei Nezer. By the way, he was the father of the Shemesh Shmuel. His son was Reb Shmuel Sochachov, or a famous book called Shemesh Shmuel. People quote often on the Parsha. He was a son of the Avnei Nezer. Avnei Nezer also wrote a sefer Eglei Tal on Malachas of Shabbos and Shalsa Chuvas Avnei Nezer. To appreciate his chiddush, we have to learn. Here are copies. Please give out. It's one page, one side. I'm going to read it fast, but tune into this, because this is Shulchan Aruch Harav, Oire Chaim, Siman Tov Mem Vav. Okay. Siman Tov Mem Vav. We'll post the source sheets, Lezer Hashem on the yeshiva.net. Tov Mem Vav. Okay, here's the issue. This whole Gemarah is talking about the bracha for checking chametz. When you make this bracha, before you do pika, the night we all do it. We don't make a bracha again. That's it. That's our only bracha. Tomorrow when you burn it, there's no bracha. When you do bittul, tomorrow or tonight, there's no bracha. In fact, the Rosh says the reason we say al biur chametz is because you're doing the bittul right after. Rashi says biur includes bdika. Bdika is the beginning of biur. You're not just checking chametz. You're going to get rid of the chametz. Yeah. According to the Rambam, the word al biur is the best. According to the Rambam, the reason we say al biur, not al bdika, is unbelievable. Why? Because the bracha is not on the bdika. The bracha is on the bittul, which happened already. It's also on the bdika, which is continuing. But the main thing is al biur. Tack on the biur. Not the biur is going to happen later, tomorrow. Gevaldik, according to the Rambam. Okay. But according to everybody, Rashi says, bdika is also biur. In other words, bdika is not looking for chametz. That's not the mitzvah. Yeah, the mitzvah is to look for chametz, but not to leave it there. I found chametz. Wow. It's not hiding and seek game. It's to get rid of it. Biarti HaKadosh. Now I have a new question. What happens if you find chametz on Pesach? We learned before, you find chametz on Pesach, you got to destroy it. Do you make a bracha or not? Huh? Fascinating question. Do you make a bracha? Let's see. Tov Mem Vav. This is both in Shulchan Aruch. This is in Shulchan Aruch Harav. Hamoitzi Pesach tichas chametz shalei matzah b'bdikas leil yudalet. You did a bdika. You find in your house chametz. Bein shematzah b'beisim, bein shematzah b'chol makom shu b'rishusah. In your house, in your garage, in your attic, in your basement, in your wherever it is, you stay. Emu choyl hamoyed chayav levarei min ha'olam miyad sheyirena. You're obligated to get rid of it, to destroy it from the world. Burn it, turn it into crumbs and throw it into the river or into the ear, but get rid of it, exterminate it. V'yivarech asher kadeshanu b'mitzvaysa v'tzivanu al bir chametz. Afal pishek var bittul kol chemtze b'leil yadalad. What's the problem? You already did bittul. If he did bittul, he's not over on bayirah. Mikol makom chayav levarei midivrei soifrim shema yishkach v'yechlena. We remember the rabbis don't allow only bittul; they want also biur. Why? They were afraid you're going to eat it. V'chayav levarach k'mashem avarchin al kol mitzvos midivrei soifrim. So it's fascinating. I find the bread on Pesach. I should probably say Chas v'Shalom. And I find it, and I make a fire in my courtyard, and I burn the bread, make a bracha, al biur chametz. Why? I'm doing a mitzvah right now. What's the mitzvah? I did bittul. The Torah says you're good. Leave it. The rabbi said, you're not good. You got to get rid of it. I'm doing a mitzvah minute to serve, just like lighting Hanukkah candles, just like washing my hands. Here's the question.
According to the Rambam, did you do bittul and the rabbanim before you burned it? Is that Shemat Shabbat and Rabbanim?
Yeah, but after Pesach, you really can't do bittul, you remember?
No, I'm saying during Pesach, you did bittul with the rice.
Oh, before you're good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying
You did bittul,
during
yeah.
Pesach, like this halakha is learning, you make the bracha, then you burn it. So there's no issue of bittul again, with the rabbanim.
Right. You're good, yeah. Now, listen to this. Didn't you make a bracha belel yudalet? Your bracha at night allowed you not to make a bracha by day. Because by day, the beer by day is included in the bracha at night. So now I have a problem. Why in the middle of Pesach can't you say that the bracha al bir chametz from the night of Yudalet transfers to Pesach? Mikol makom loy niftar. I'll tell you why. Now listen to this. This is how the Shulchan Aruch Harav is explaining the svara of this halach. Loy niftar elak shemevayeres hachametz shemotza bebdika. What happens Pesach morning when you burn chametz? What are you burning? You're burning what you found. That's what's going on. That burning, you don't have to make a new bracha because it's included in what? In the bdika. When you said I'll be your chametz, you did it for the search and the destruction. So that's the bracha. Either destruction happens tomorrow, that's fine. That's what the bracha is for. It's a mitzvah in phases. Why we wait to burn it till the next day? You don't have to wait. You could burn it on Purim. You don't have to wait. But practically, by us, thank God you have this question, because you live in prosperity. But there were times, a piece of bread, you don't tell the Jews, get rid of bread the night before. That means getting rid of food. That could be a lifesaver. You let them eat as long as they can. The Chachamim Taka pushed it back 2 hours, but they're not going to push it back anymore. They're not going to push it back. They told you have to burn it an hour early, but they're not going to push it back anymore. People sold chametz. People fed it to their animals. It was very precious. You don't tell a Jew burn it the night before. You understand? Thank God you have this question. You understand? Because it's not Teufus Malkim by you. But you have to realize where they're coming from. I mean, you could burn your chametz on Purim, you probably won't go hungry. Is that true? Very important idea. You understand what I'm saying? We always have to put ourselves in the shoes of our forefathers. We're not just going to make it takana burn chametz a day before. It's a very serious thing. It's enough. God told us to burn chametz. What He told us, we're not making it a day before. Okay. So what's the bracha? The bracha was for the bdika and for the beer of that chametz. Oyes hachametz shekana lachilus yudalet. Or even if I bought chametz Pesach in the morning to eat on that day, Erev Pesach, and I burn it, I don't have to make al beer chametz, even though it's not the chametz that I found in the bdika. Here you could say, why? Make a new bracha. The answer is, listen to this. Lefisha kol's man. This is classic Shulchan Aruch Harav with his definitions in halach. Lefisha kol's man shaloi biras hachametz shemotza bebdika harei adayin lo nigmara habdika sheberach aleha shebdika beloy bir eino shava klum. As long as you did not destroy the chametz that you found by bdika, you didn't finish the bdika. The point of bdika is not bdika. The point of bdika is what? Beer. Bdika without beer is not 50% of the work. It's 0% of the work. A person is by the chametz. Okay, there's chametz here, chametz there, chametz there. We did it. It's worthless. The whole point of the bdika is what? Beer. In other words, when can you say the mitzvah of bdika was completed? When you destroy that chametz. Ulefichach, kol chametz shemevayer, koidem shegamar levayer es hachametz shemotza bebdika, ein tzarich levarich alav, fishadayin lo nigmira mitzvahs habdika sheberach Allah. Even if I buy new chametz and I burn it, as long as I burnt it before I finished burning the chametz that I found in the bdika, I don't have to make a new bracha. You know why? Because the mitzvah's bdika did not finish yet. The mitzvah's bdika did not finish yet. Why did the mitzvah bdika not finish yet? Because I didn't burn it. So I made a bracha on a mitzvah, and that mitzvah didn't finish. As long as the mitzvah didn't finish, yeah? You don't make a new bracha because the mitzvah didn't finish. So when I buy chametz Erev Pesach in the morning and I burn it at 10:30, 11 o'clock, I can't make a new bracha al bir chametz. Why? The mitzvah didn't finish yet. So why making a new bracha? It's all part of this mitzvah and you already made a bracha on this mitzvah, right? A person is sitting in a sukkah and I ate the first course and I'm going to eat the second course. We say, I'm making a new bracha. Why are you making a new bracha? The mitzvah didn't finish yet. You made a bracha on the mitzvah. If you leave the sukkah, the mitzvah is interrupted. You took a nap for 3 hours, whatever it is. You took a walk. Now you're coming back for dinner. The mitzvah was interrupted. You made a new mitzvah. So he said, when I'm burning chametz, my mitzvah is not finished. What do you mean the mitzvah? I did bdika last night. No, you didn't do bdika last night. Bdika means biur today. It's a longish mitzvah. You bought new chametz. As long as you burn it before you burn the chametz, or together with the chametz that you're burning from bdika, you don't make a new bracha. Because it's one mitzvah. It's not like the mitzvah bdika and a new mitzvah biur. The mitzvah Chanukah candles and the mitzvah halal. It's not two separate things. Bdika and biur, haynuach. Bdika without biur is nothing. One second. Even if you didn't find any chametz during the bdika, even if you didn't find any chametz in bdika, you don't have to make a new bracha. When you destroy on the day of 14 the chametz that you knew during bdika, that you're going to have to burn, you didn't have to be baidik. Let's say there's a piece of bread on your counter, you didn't have to do bdika. You knew I have to burn this tomorrow, and in the bdika you didn't find any chametz. Shegemar habdika who's when you burn that piece of bread on your counter, that is the end of bdika. Even if you burn chametz that you never found, even if it's chametz that during the bdika you didn't know about. You didn't find it in the morning, somehow it got exposed. Or you went to buy new chametz. Or you baked chametz. It's all things that during the bdika you didn't have access to. As long as you burn all this new chametz before you finished destroying the chametz that you found during the bdika, or that you knew during the bdika that you have to be mevayer, kivon sha'adayan loy nigmara mitzvahs habdika, Sha'arei beirach aleha al mitzvahs biur va'adayin loy gomar levayrus hachametz shal yadua loy b'shas habdika sheitztarech levarei. Because the mitzvah of bdika did not finish until you destroy all the chametz that you checked, or all the chametz that you knew about at least during the bdika. That's when it's going to finish, and that you made a bracha on. So now you bought new chametz and you put it in the fire. No new bracha. You're still in the middle of the mitzvah. They did a bracha. Avok shemavayres hachametz shematzal achar shegamal levares hachametz yidu lebishas habdika sheitztarech levarei chayav levarech alav. But what happens? What happens if you destroy chametz that you found after you finished destroying the chametz that you knew during the bdika that you're going to have to destroy? Now you're chayav to make a bracha because the mitzvah sabdika that you made a bracha was done. You got rid of all that chametz, all the chametz that you knew about, all the chametz that you were baidik. So mitzvah's bdikas chametz is complete. And now you're being mevayer chametz, let's say that you find now, or that you bought now. So now you have a new mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? It's Erev Pesach. You got to destroy chametz, tashbisu. Right? If it's the beginning of the 6th hour, it's minat. If it's the beginning of the 7th hour, it's minat Torah. Beginning of the 6th hour, it's midrabban. This is only if you're going to destroy the new chametz after the beginning of the 6th hour. Post 11 a.m. What if I destroy my chametz 7 in the morning? 8 o'clock I go to the coffee shop and I buy a bagel. 9 o'clock I destroy the bagel. Ain't tzarich levarech alav. Why? You're already finished with all your bdikas. You finished the chametz that you knew. Now here's an original. Lefi. Shekol's man shelo higia shashishis. As long as the 6th hour did not arrive, adayin lo nigmira mitzvah sabdika. The mitzvah of bdika did not finish. It didn't finish with the fire. Why? What's the purpose of bdika? To destroy. As long as it's not 11 o'clock, you don't have to be at Mavayir. Not minat, not even with Rabbanan. When does bdika and biur become a mitzvah? At 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, the previous biur became a mitzvah. When the Shah Shishis, you didn't do the mitzvah until Shah Shishis comes. And you don't have chametz. Retroactively, your bdika and biur became a mitzvah. In other words, it's a different type of mitzvah. When you're doing bdika, you're not doing a mitzvah.
It's like a chiyuv, not a mitzvah.
It's an obligation, it's not a mitzvah. You have to do bdika, but it's not a mitzvah yet. Why? Because we have to see what happens. It's so many strings attached. What has to happen to this bdika? What's the purpose of the bdika? The purpose of the bdika is not bdika. The purpose for bdika is to destroy it. To destroy it. When does the Torah tell me to destroy it? Not 9 in the morning. Min Torah shviyis, midrabanan shishis. So let's say midrabanan, 11 a.m. 10 a.m. is all good. 10 a.m. you could do whatever you want. 7 a.m. you can have a chametz flea market. I don't care. There's no issue. 11 a.m. there's a mitzvah biur. Till 11 a.m. there's no mitzvah of biur. The whole purpose of bdika was what? That 11 a.m. should happen, should come, and it's chametz free. I'm chametz free at 11 a.m. So what happens? At 11 a.m., when there's no chametz because I did biur, retroactively the bdika and the biur became a mitzvah. So when did the mitzvah get complete? 11. So if I burnt the new chametz at 10, I don't have to make a new bracha, even though I burnt last night's chametz at 9.
But be complete.
No, you finish getting rid of the chametz of bdika. But he says the mitzvah is not yet defined as a mitzvah. It's like in limbo. It may be a mitzvah. Let's wait till 11. Because what happens if 10:59 you decide, I'm not doing anything with the chametz, I'm leaving it in my house. What's your bdika? So bracha levatala. I did bdika, I did everything. Bracha levatala. It's all about the biur. And when is the chiyuv of biur? When is the mitzvah of biur? Shishis, not before. You don't have to do biur before. You could do biur on Hanukkah, I don't care. But there's no mitzvah of biur before. We happen to do biur before because we want to do bittul after the biur. So we do biur before. We don't wait till 11 o'clock. We do biur a few minutes before. Just realize that, because we want to do bittul afterwards. But it's not a mitzvah. It's a hachana for a mitzvah. So bdika and biur are a hechsher mitzvah. When the time of biur comes, retroactively it becomes a mitzvah.
So the mitzvah is that by Shah Shishis, you should have already destroyed your chametz.
And until then,
Or to destroy it, shashishis. That's the machlekes. The Rambam holds tashbisu means by then. The Tosfos, the Shulchan Aruch, Harav, most poskim hold then you have to do tashbisu. Either by then, but
11:01 has to be done.
so
start doing it.
So what are we concerned about putting out the 10 pieces?
1 second. Now, 1 second. 1 second. I just want to.
Okay.
Now he says ve'efsher. Ve'efsher means we're not sure. It's a possibility. Comes next chiddush. The Balatanya was trying to explain here, what's the svaras hapoiskin? That you don't make a new bracha when you mevayir chametz that you bought Erev Pesach in the morning. It doesn't make sense. You finished your mitzvah. So this is how he explains it. So a unique type of mitzvah. It's in limbo. You're obligated to do b'dika, but it's not a mitzvah yet. When you'll do the biur in the beginning of the 6th hour. Or in the beginning of the 6th hour, you won't have chametz. Right? Now suddenly the whole b'dik and the whole biur becomes a mitzvah. Because the whole purpose of it was what? Tashbisu and Bayirah. When does Tashbisu begin? When the Rabbanan? Beginning of the 6th hour. Ve'efsher, she'av k'shemevayim mishah shishis ve'elech ad halayla in tzarech levarach. It may be that even if you find chametz 3 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon, after the shah shishis, you still don't have to make a new bracha. Why? Now certainly the mitzvah of b'dika finished. The mitzvah of b'dika finished. Elim kein mevari b'toich Pesach, unless you find it in the middle of Pesach. Now hear his words. The chol shelo higia ha-Pesach adayin lo nigmar mitzvah abdika v'abir. Perhaps until Pesach doesn't begin, you didn't finish the mitzvah of Dika and Bir. According to most poskim, you're not over on Bayira till the night. The reason Torah says you got to get rid of your chametz erev Pesach midday and on is so you shouldn't transgress Bayera Bal Yimotzei when Pesach comes. If you get rid of it in the afternoon, you have a whole afternoon to get rid of it. At night, you won't have chametz, even if it takes you 6 hours to burn it, according to the Svara. In other words, even Tashbisu is a hechsher for Bayera Bal Yimotzei. Even Tashbisu is a preparation for Bayera. V'nimtza t'kshemagia ha-Pesach nigmar l'mafreya mitzvah min ha-Torah b'mesha bodak u'bir es ha-chametz mirishusai. So when does the mitzvah of bdika and bir become a mitzvah retroactively? At night, sunset of Pesach. Now you're not allowed to have chametz in your house. We look, do you have chametz in your house? No. Why don't you have chametz in your house? You did bdika, you did bir. As a result of that, there's no Bayira. You did Tashbis in the beginning of the 6th hour, which was also for the purpose of Bayira Bayamotzeh. So therefore, it now assumes the quality of a mitzvah. According to the Svara, that means even if I burn Chametz 4 in the afternoon, I don't make a new bracha. Why? Because my bracha from yesterday is still encompassing this, because the mitzvah of yesterday didn't finish yet. When is the mitzvah going to be complete? It's going to be complete only at night. He says, "V'safek brachas lahakal," because it's a suffix. You should be lenient, and therefore don't make a brach. That's all before Pesach. Once Pesach comes, the mitzvah of bdika is complete. So now you have to make a new chiyuv. Comes Davnei Nezer. Huh? With the Rabbanon, you have to make a bracha in the middle of Pesach, because now it's a new mitzvah. But the beer of Erev Pesach, before Shah Shishis, and the Efsher, even after Shah Shishis, is one mitzvah. Says the Avnei Nezer, if so, we have a new vart, why you say Al Bir Chametz. Why you say Al Bir Chametz. Why? Because it's not Asher G'tranu B'Soysav V'Tzivanu L'Vayir Chametz. It's not a mitzvah yet. It's not a mitzvah yet. When is it going to be a mitzvah? It's going to be a mitzvah tomorrow. So you say, I'll be your chametz. Or to put it in different words, as he puts it, Al is for the past. Al is for the past. So you say, I'll be your chametz. Because the vitzivanu on the bir chametz, right? When the mitzvah takes root, it's something that happened already. The mitzvah is going to be complete when? The mitzvah is going to be complete tomorrow afternoon, or according to the Avsha, tomorrow night. So even if you want to say you're making the bracha, the first vart is, it's not so pashat. This is not mamash the mitzvah. This is the hechsher mitzvah. It's going to become a mitzvah. Yeah. It's going to become a mitzvah. When tomorrow arrives, then this is going to become a mitzvah. So you say Al Bir. And if you want to say that the bracha is now, right, for the mitzvah tomorrow, you're just doing it early, which is strange, but then it's already a mitzvah that was done. It's a mitzvah that was done already. That's his chiddush. He says, if so, take a look at one thing, and this is what we'll leave you with, and you'll understand his chiddush when it comes to matzah and maror. And for this, I'm going to ask you, it's going to take 2 minutes, open up your Gemarah, Maseches Pesachim, the last Amud of Pesachim, Daf Kuf Chaf Amud Beis. Daf Kuf Chaf Amud Beis in Maseches Pesachim. I should say, Stam, the Meiri says, he disagrees with the Rambam. because he says the bittul doesn't happen before, the bittul happens after. And he says the reason you say al is because the mitzvah ultimately is mainly tomorrow. So he actually says that word, that since the mitzvah is tomorrow, not right now, because now is only hachana, right? But here it's even deeper. It's not only the mitzvah of beer is tomorrow, even the mitzvah of b'dikah is tomorrow. So stam, it's a very similar word to the Meiri. Take a look. Here's a Gemarah. Daf Kuf Chaf Amud Beis. Okay. Alma mechatzois. It's like 10 lines from the top. Alma mechatzois havalei noiser. Listen to this Gemarah. You have to concentrate. You're eating a carbon pesach. Till when? It says you have to eat it. V'achlu asabasa b'layla hazeh. From the Mishnah, it seems after midnight it becomes noiser, meaning you're not allowed to eat it after midnight. Mantana Amar Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah the Tanya. V'ochlu es habasar b'layla hazeh. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah omer nemar kan b'layla hazeh v'nemar lahalan v'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim b'layla hazeh ma'lahalan ad chatzois afkan ad chatzois. Fascinating teaching of Elazar ben Azariah. It says about the carbon pesach v'ochlu es habasar b'layla hazeh, on this night. We know it's this night because it was v'ochlu es habasar b'layla. He says, it also says in the same parsha, God says, I'm going to pass through Eretz Mitzrayim b'layla hazeh and smite every firstborn male of Egypt. When did that happen? V'avarti chatzois. That's b'layla hazeh. So v'ochlu es habasar b'layla hazeh is also till chatzois. He holds you're not allowed to eat the carbon pesach after chatzos, which is, by the way, the source from when we eat the afikoimon. Since we eat the afikoimon, zeichel a carbon pesach at the end of the meal, because we don't have a carbon pesach, they used to eat the carbon pesach at the end of the meal. We eat matzah. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, that also has to be done by chatzos. That's the reason why you stopped afikoimon. According to Rabbi Akiva disagrees. Rabbi Akiva says you can eat the carbon pesach throughout the night. Min haTorah. He doesn't agree with this, but this is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Says the Avnei Nezer, I have a question. How could Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah make this comparison? How long did it take for Makas B'choros to happen? A second, 2 seconds, split second, B'chatzois, millisecond. How long does it take to eat a carbon pesach? Doesn't take a millisecond, right? You're eating a kazai. It doesn't take a millisecond. An hour, a half an hour, achilas pras. It takes some time. So it says, "V'avarti be'tzam b'layla zeh chatzois." V'achlu b'layla zeh chatzois. So then make a mitzvah that by chatzois you have to eat the carbon pesach in a millisecond. That's going to be a joke, right? Can't happen. It's not al pi teva. So this whole Zera Shava doesn't make sense. V'avarti happened exactly by chatzois. We don't need the carbon pesach exactly at chatzois. We can't. It's humanly impossible to give a person a half a second. So what type of this Zera Shava is? So he says, obviously what he's learning is, not that you eat it by chatzois, that by chatzois it has to be eaten. Just like Makas B'choros happen at chatzois, right? You have to eat it in a way that by chatzois it's done. That's the pshat. So what's the mitzvah b'layla hazeh? He says, when does the mitzvah happen? The mitzvah happens by chatzois. When it comes chatzois, and you ate the carbon pesach, now you did the mitzvah. You ate it 9 o'clock, but that's not the mitzvah. It says b'layla hazeh by chatzois, but you can't eat it by chatzois. So pshat is, when does the mitzvah happen? You eat it 9 o'clock. When chatzois happens, that's when Makas B'choros happens. That's the mitzvah of Pesach, but you can't have the mitzvah then. The pshat is, by then I ate it. And he says this gives a beautiful reason why it's so important to have the taste. It says after the afikoimon, we don't eat anything, we don't drink anything. After Carbon Pesach didn't eat. Why is it so important? Who cares if you have a meal after? He says because at least if by chatzos you can't eat it, at least you should have the shirayim of the eating. The leftovers, the residue, the flavor. I can't eat it by chatzos, it's a millisecond. But when chatzos comes, it could still be lingering in my mouth. At least there's eating and there's the result of eating. The eating is the actual digestion. What's the result of eating? The taste in your mouth. At least have that by chatzos. If you put another food, you're not going to have that. Says the Avnei Nezer, so what's the right bracha? Is the bracha lechel matzah? He says, no. The mitzvah is later. The bracha is now, but the mitzvah is later. No mitzvah now, lechoil. When is it going to become a mitzvah? It's going to be a mitzvah by chatzos. Retroactively. So that's why you say al achilas matzah. Because matzah and more you're supposed to eat with the carbon pesach. Al matzah somerim yechluhu. So mele it's not lamed, it's al. And from here he's mechadish a gewaltige chiddush. And this is his chiddush. Let's say chatzos is 12 o'clock p.m. Yeah, 12 o'clock p.m. And Baruch Hashem, you have 12 children, and 66 ein o'clock, and 12 ur ein o'clock, and 4 ur ein o'clock, and everybody prepared a booklet for the Seder. Some of you may have been lucky to be in such zdarim. And by the time Shulchan Aruch comes, you know what Mitzrayim felt like. Everyone has to share, and you know those dharm, everybody got to share, and the father has even more to share than everybody else. Anyway, it's 11:55, and you're just finishing your maror, your koirich. That's the seder. What's supposed to be now? Says Davnei Nezer. You're stuck. Even a half an hour before. Okay, rush the meal. 2 seconds. A meal. Afrikaiman, we're done. Davnei says no need. He says I'll tell you what you should do. He says eat Afrikaiman. Eat Afrikaiman. Gesundheit. Eat it. Enjoy it. Then take a little break. Give another few speeches. Wait till after Chatzos. After Chatzos, go back to Shulchan Aruch and have a 2-hour meal, and then you'll finish benching Halal Nirtzah. He says, why? Why? So the whole reason we don't eat after the Afrikaiman is only because Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says you can't eat the Pesach after Chatzos. What's the Havana in it? He says the Havana in it is that by Chatzos, the taste of the Afrikaiman should linger in your mouth. After Chatzos, I don't care if you have a whole meal. But Meili says, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, after Chatzos, you're allowed to eat. According to Rabbi Akiva, who holds you allowed to eat the carbon Pesach a whole night, right? Who holds you allowed to eat the carbon Pesach a whole night. So he says, do Shulchan Aruch and then eat a second Afrikaiman to be Yotze for Rabbi Akiva. So he says, when you eat the first Afrikaiman, make a Tanai. The halach is like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. This is the Afrikaiman. I'm going to have a meal after the Afrikaiman. The halach is like Rabbi Akiva. I'm just eating a piece of matzah. I'm just eating a piece of matzah. Can't kill anybody. Holy piece of matzah I'm eating. And then you'll have a meal after. You'll do the Afrikaiman later. Because you're supposed to do the Afrikaiman the last thing, right? Even according to Rabbi Akiva. So therefore you'll do the Afrikaiman later at 3 a.m. What are you bothered? He says that's what Davnei Nezer suggests. Based on his chiddush, that even according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, after Chatzos you can eat it, because just you can't have the taste till Chatzos. According to this, why you say, Al achilas ha-Pesach, Al achilas matzah, Al achilas maror, because when you're eating it, you can't say, God commanded me to eat the Pesach now. It's not true. This is going to become a mitzvah only later. According to the Avnei Nezer. The Avnei Nezer says it's halacha l'maisa, or Chaim, I think, Simon Shin Pei Aleph.
This does not answer matzah, because matzah is the rice.
It answers matzah. Because even though matzah is the rice even without, but nonetheless the mitzvah min ha-mufcher was to eat matzah with Pesach. Al matzahs u'meroyim yechlu. Maror for sure. Because over there today it's only the Rabbanan maror. The whole mitzvah is to eat it with Pesach. But even matzah, right? Look at al matzah sumarayim yechlu. It also says be'erev toichlu matzah. So we learn that even matzah on its own, if you eat it without a basic, you're still mekayim a mitzvah. But the mitzvah, the way the Torah describes it is, certainly the better way to do the mitzvah was to eat it with a carbon basic. It says clearly, v'achlos habasa balazat sli eish al matzahs umarayim yechlu. You get it? So when you're making that bracha, right, together with the carbon pesach, it's going to be out. So it stayed that way. Even though today we're not doing it with the carbon pesach, so it's not negeya. Right? But it's still the same nekuda. We kept that bracha.
It's not with the pesach, it's the opposite. You should eat the pesach with the matzah.
Yeah. So you should eat the pesach with the matzah. And when is the mitzvah of pesach? Chatzos. So maybe you don't say lechem.
If you wait before the Sukkah. You have to make the rotten.
No, because you can't wait. You can't wait because you have to eat afikomen before chatzos.
So you just eat it there.
So eat afikomen right now.
Wherever you are.
Eat afikomen. According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, because you need an afikomen before chatzos, because it's Eichel Pesach, and then you'll do the rest later. Loy davnei nez, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, you're allowed to eat after chatzos, everything.
You just buy chatzos, you have to.
By chatzos is the mitzvah. That's his word, because like Makas B'chayris. It's like Makas B'chayris.
Why do you say the bracha al? This is another reason from the Rambam. The Rambam has 3 reasons, right?
Yeah, this is a whole other word. This is the word because Hashem commanded me to eat the Pesach.
Because the mitzvah is not final now.
Because it's not only it's not final, it's not a mitzvah yet.
Can't say le.
It's a heksha mitzvah.
So it's not.
It's going to become a mitzvah at 12 o'clock.
Okay, I'm gonna give you another example.
So I can't say it's.
I can't say shekad shana b'mitzvah of tzivanu lechel because right now there's no mitzvah lechel.
If you take on Pesach,
You understand?
It's a new thing to the
A
Rambam.
new word. And although the Avnei Nezer says this, svara, you can't say it according to the Rambam. Because the Rambam paskins in Hilchas Korban Pesach, in Perek Ches, that Minat Torah, you can eat the Korban Pesach all night. So the Rambam paskins like Rabbi Akiva. So you can't say this whole Torah in Rambam. It's a beautiful word. Can't say it in Rambam. So now you have to say the other biurim, or Sameach, Migdalois, maybe the other explanations. You can't say this word in Rambam. Now, Neder says why we say alachilas matzah. He explains why we say alachilas matzah. See, he explains it according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah. Many places can pass like Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah. And we're machmer like him. That's why we don't eat afikomen after chatzos, the first night at least. He brings from the Chok Yaakov, who says the reason we say alachilas matzah, alachilas mora, because it says v'achlu sabosser balayla zet sliesh al matzah sumiroidim yochlu al. So that's why we say al. He says Yavin and Sukkah. What's the because al matzah sumiroidim? That's why they say alachilas matzah. But that's what the Chok Yaakov says. They don't want to change the lashon haposuk. He says what's the lashon haposuk have with the bracha? Lashon haposuk is al matzah. It's alachilas matzah. That's it. So the Chok Yaakov says they didn't want to change the lashon habracha.
We're like
We're machmer like both, yeah.
First time over Pesach takes flour and water, mixes it together on Pesach. Then
Yeah.
then you become chometz. So bake it as matzah.
You're right. You
And
could
then
eat
let's
mavatl.
say- Right. And then let's say you leave it. So when did you make Pesach chometz on Pesach? You did the meiser or when eating it now, but it's not.
You're saying if I need a dough on Pesach,
It's not an aver.
it's not an avera because I could still bake it as matzah.
Yeah.
If I leave it alone,
There's no asiyah.
20 minutes later, it becomes
Chometz.
an avera, and that's the avera. That's when there's bayir bayir matzah. So you're saying the maisa that
Meiser is
caused.
not the aver.
Yeah, but over there it's a little different because over there the avera doesn't go retroactively from making the dough.
The
The
meiser is
the the maisa that caused the avera is the making the dough, but that's only a gram.
but it's
Here
not
what we're
the
saying
meiser.
is,
At the time
when you did the avera, when you did the maisa, it's not an avera, not a gram for an avera. Later, retroactively, it becomes a gram for an avera, right?
So it's a similar idea.
It's similar. You're saying that later it redefines the previous. Very good. That's a good word. The later reality redefines the previous, but but you still will not say that the making the dough was a maisa avera.
Why not?
It wasn't. You're allowed to make a dough on Pesach.
It became a meiser aver.
It resulted. If you would have baked it, not. It resulted in an avera. What's the avera? Bayir bayir matzah. You're saying it's the cause of an avera.
Otherwise, I can tell you that it's a.
Well, you have a lav shame by
Lav
maisa.
shame by maisa, but you're not going to say it's lav shame by maisa. So where's the maisa?
You want to know, does he get malchus?
Yeah, I
Does he
would
get
say
malchus? Is it considered an Indian of a maisa? Right?
So yes.
So the Rambam talks about it in Hilchos Chametz Matzah, yeah? The Rambam talks about it. The Rambam talks about Hilchos Chametz Matzah. Huh? Beautiful Rambam. It's an interesting thing. It's a very good shaila. The Rambam says in Hilchos Chametz Matzah. I have to look. I'll call upon him. So yeah, similar word. So you're saying that later this becomes a mitzvah. Later this becomes a mitzvah.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.